Merry Christmas. In the tradition of the old Christmas carol, the 12 Days of Christmas, I bring you good news on this fifth day of Christmas. I've been thinking about all the many ways in which God has blessed First Methodist Conroe. I thought about singing a little bit and giving you on the first day of 2020, here's what happened in this year and the way in which God blessed us. And I began to number them out 1 through 12, and then it just became overwhelming. Because even in a year like 2020, even in a year of a pandemic, God has been incredibly faithful to us, and we have seen amazing ministry here at First Methodist Conroe. Just a few weeks ago, we had Christmas for Others, where over 200 families in our Conroe community were fed. That same day, we had a toy drive at Sam Houston Elementary, where over 350 gifts were given to children who otherwise would have had none. And a party was thrown at a local youth shelter for those who otherwise would have no Christmas. Throughout the entire year, we've reached out in love and service and mission. When the pandemic struck and families were struggling to figure out how to do virtual learning, our church provided Wi-Fi hotspots for those families who were having to sit in parking lots to use a Starbucks Wi-Fi. And we also were able to build dividers for Reeves Elementary School so that students could eat safely together. Well, that's just mission. COVID-19 gave us opportunities to reach out and to be the church in ways that we would have never imagined back in 2019. Think about our Sunday schools and Bible studies who have all embraced this technology called Zoom, being able to gather together across time and space and distance, and whether in sickness or in health, still being able to meet week after week. One of my favorite things about this is so many of our members who had been homebound before March of 2020 and had not been able to be a part of their small groups and Sunday schools, well, now they're full participants in the group that they had come to love. Our Sunday morning worship, it looks a bit different. We wear masks, we're socially distanced, but now we have 2 thriving worship communities, one in person and one online. And you've adjusted to that, and through our tech team here at the church, we have made worship accessible and powerful to all. We've also had wonderful services that were quite special, like our confirmation service and our All Saints Sunday service, where we honored and gave God thanks for those who had died this past year and have gone before us. Each week throughout the pandemic, we've provided devotionals such as these that lift up God's good news in the midst of difficult times. And so many of you have shared with me and others of our clergy and staff just how meaningful it has been to hear these stories, these devotionals, or even the singing from Ruth Ann and Tommy and the music from Craig. At the beginning of the pandemic, our pastoral care team, our pastors, along with Janet and others, began to reach out to every member of the church. And even still today, we're finding new ways to reach out to folks. We can't go into hospitals as easily as before. We've adapted to new technology and ways of being able to be in ministry without having to be right there in person. Our Celebración community, our Hispanic service, has begun to worship in the gym because they simply don't have enough room to socially distance and worship together in the chapel. In fact, of our worshiping communities, this has been the service that has grown the most throughout the pandemic, both online and in person. God is truly doing something amazing in that community. And with our families, our children, and our students, well, you know, youth and children are resilient. But what we're seeing is that our students and our kids are thriving. And so much of that has to do with the mission and ministries that are happening here. We've had carols around the bonfire, we've had chalk fest, we've had drive-in movies, virtual game nights, and all sorts of gatherings both in person and on Zoom that have kept youth and children connected and have kept their parents connected and motivated as well. And all of this and so much more has been made possible by your faithful and generous giving. And truly, as your pastor, I have been so proud of you as a congregation and so thankful for this generosity. One of the things you did before I even got here was you not only pledged to this amazing Vision 2020 campaign, but you had done all of the work, and this year you paid it off. So we enter into 2021 with not a penny in debt. That is a wonderful place to be able to do ministry. Also, throughout the pandemic, you've continued to faithfully give to our operating and ministry budgets so that at this point in 2020, we've seen about 92% of our giving in 2019 has continued in 2020. That allows us to begin ministry in 2021 and a really solid foundation. And I would like to declare that 2021 will truly be this church's best year ever. It is a joy to work with the clergy and the staff of First Methodist Conroe. It is my privilege to serve as your pastor, and I cannot wait to see the things that God will do for us, through us, and with us in 2021. So let me be the first to tell you, Happy New Year. Let's make it the best year ever.